Hi everybody, Lynn Burkhead of Burkhead's Bullpen here on MajorLeagueFishing.com with one of my favorite anglers. I'm a Memphis boy, Mark, and you live in West Memphis, so even though we really haven't known each other over the years, I kind of feel like we're maybe kin somehow.
Yeah.
So we kind of have.
I'm pretty close to Memphis.
I bet you are. I was in Memphis just recently and saw that brand new huge Bass Pro Shops, the Pyramid. Man, that is something else. You know, one thing that, as I remember the part of the world that I grew up in, is that there's a lot of crappie fishing that exists in and around the Memphis area, there around the Mid-South. And you use crappie fishing in a pretty unique way. I use it in Texas, where I live now, to fill the freezer up. You probably fill the freezer up, but you use it to kind of fine-tune your techniques electronically and get ready for bass fishing, right?
That's right. That's right. About 6 or 7 years ago, I really made a conscious effort to get offshore and really take advantage of the modern technology bass fishing. And I got really involved with structure scan and learning the ins and outs, and I spent a lot of time with it. And well, I would go to the Tennessee River, and I was infatuated by just finding fish. And that's what I still love that about fishing, especially offshore fishing, is getting out there and we're hunting. Hunting is a passion of mine anyway, and I'm hunting that whole time, and that's what I really like to do with crappie fishing. I love crappie fishing. It passed on. It kind of something that my grandfather and we spent a lot of time. He passed away at 98 and a half several years ago, but it was something that I got from him, a passion I got from him. It was our good quality time together, and then it passed on down to my dad, and then of course we do it a lot together now, and it's one of the things that ways we get to spend time. But using my electronics to find those crappie stacked up, it's a way I keep my pencil sharp. It's a way that especially in the wintertime, we're fixing to enter into a time, where I'll be hunting and doing all, but once I get everything killed up and my daughters, fill their tags, I get out there. I've got an aluminum boat with as good electronics as what's on my glass boat, and that's what I love to do. I love to idle around and hunt for crappie, and I'll find bass and everything in the mix. But in the cold water temperatures, they're down, they're on drops, they're in those bowls of little ponds and all that kind of stuff, and they're stacked up, and that's what I love to do.
Well, you got some great crappie waters there in the area. Tunica to the south of Memphis, southeast of West Memphis. I think if I remember correctly, Horseshoe Lake there in eastern Arkansas has got some crappie, just all kinds of great crappie.
That's where
waters.
I cut my teeth.
Yeah.
Horseshoe Lake.
Well, me too. My dad would take me bass fishing, and I remember when I had a very short attention span as a kid, he would always stop at a bait shop in Memphis on the way to Interstate 40, where we would cross the river, and then he would buy a box of crickets. And I remember they also had platter-sized bluegills there too. Just a lot of great fishing there in the Mid-South. I'm really intrigued by your use of crappie fishing to kind of get ready for the season. Mm-hmm. What are you looking for on the graph? What are the things? I mean, I know how to turn one on. I know how to idle a boat, but it's more complicated than that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's learning how to get out on the drops. I mean, you can tell with your electronics now, once you've played with them enough, you can tell the shad. You can tell the size of bait fish so whether you're using 2D sonar and structure scan. And that's another thing. Let me back up and say, you don't have to have structure scan to be able to do this. Regular traditional sonar is what really I learned with. So structure scan helps, but it's just seeing, knowing out on those drops and what the crappie are doing that time of year helps. But they're going to be deep. Sometimes in the sunnier December days, they may move up a little shallower, but most of the time they're going to be deep. Cold water is going to push them there. Any ice or anything around the shallows is going to just drive those fish deep. So learning what they look like down there, differentiating them from whites and yellow bellies and stripers and hybrids and all that kind of stuff is the way you stay sharp with your electronics. And you don't worry too much. I see people, man, my sensitivity's wrong, or this is wrong, or what kilohertz are you looking at, or, are you 455, are you 800? Don't get so caught up into that as just if you got 2D sonar, just look at what they look like. Drop down there on them, catch them, see that that's a white bass, okay? Then idle around and look and see what that looks like. A lot of times they may be, you know, stacked more like a Christmas tree and come up higher in the water column, and the crappie may be more spread out down there. So, man, it's just time behind the wheel. That's what I spent a lot of time doing, especially 6, 7 years ago. I'll admit, the past year, this has probably been my worst year in fishing in about 10 or 12 years. And I'll admit, I haven't been doing that as much, and I'm making a conscious effort to get back this winter and get back after it and spend a lot more time behind the console, a little less time in the deer stand, and you know, I gotta still make a living at this fishing thing, so I'll have enough money to go deer hunting. So when that starts to fall a little bit, it's more time back on the water.
Well, I'll tell you what, when Mark Rose is excited about something, then that says an awful lot, because he's one of the best deep water fishermen in the world today. Might have had a little bit of an off year this year, but that's the exception rather than the rule in recent years, as Mark Rose has established himself as one of the best when it comes to deep water cranking and offshore fishing. And you know what? He uses wintertime crappie fishing to kind of hone those skills and to get ready for spring and summer. You can do the same, and you can learn more about the techniques and the personalities of Major League Fishing, just like Mark Rose, by going to MajorLeagueFishing.com.